Awesome. Good evening, Facebook, social media, YouTube, wherever you are watching this live stream from. Welcome back to the Takeover. This is a pop up podcast that I am doing for the month of October in honor of domestic violence survivors. I am a domestic violence survivor, so you're going to hear some amazing stories, receive some resources about domestic violence. We just want to bring some awareness and share some survival stories. This is not going to be a sad show. It's going to be an inspirational show, actually, because we survived, right? So tune in, share the link. We are streaming live from Facebook, from my page, as well as YouTube on the takeover_edu. So share, and invite someone in. Invite everybody in. We have an amazing show. I have a great guest that I am about to bring live to share with us tonight. I should call her my co-host for tonight because she's just so amazing and phenomenal. And her name is Samantha Danielle. So if you guys are ready to get this party started, we are as well. So welcome to the stage, or welcome to the podcast, Miss Samantha Danielle.
Woo!
Oh, Samantha. Woo! She came in ready. Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Angela. I cannot tell you how much this means.
I am so honored to have you. I can't wait to get started. You look amazing, by the way.
Well, thank you. And you do too, as always, per
Thank
usual.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, as you know, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, this month of October. And it's also my birthday, you guys. My birthday is in 2 days. Well,
Happy
Saturday.
birthday to
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited. Saturday is my birthday. But domestic violence, we wanted to do this pop up podcast for domestic violence survivors. I am a domestic violence survivor, as well as yourself and so many others that I know. And I just wanted to bring awareness this month. The takeover is all about empowering and inspiring
right.
people, not just women, but men as well. So I thought, like, hey, well, let me have Samantha on to come on and tell and share her story, as well as some other people that we'll have throughout the month. So each Thursday, to the end of the month, we'll be on live talking about domestic violence. We'll have some resources, some other survivors on sharing their stories. So it's going to be an amazing month. So Samantha, to get started, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell the people about you. What's up with you?
Okay, sure thing. I am Samantha Danielle Cole. I am 40 years young. I am a New Orleanian, born and raised in Gretna, Louisiana, raised in New Orleans,
Come
Louisiana.
on, New Orleans.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right. And I lived in Augusta for 20 years until I moved to Atlanta during the pandemic.
Okay.
I am
Okay.
a mother of three beautiful children. Titus is 16, Serenity is 15, and Harmony is 4.
Okay.
That's right.
Awesome.
And I also love to
So
sing and
she
I do
does, guys. She loves to
events.
sing, and she can sing too. She
Do this.
can.
Do
Oh,
this.
can you give us a little snippet? No.
Next time.
Next time she'll give us a snippet. Okay, so Samantha, now you're a beautiful young lady, 40 years old with 3 beautiful children. Now tell me, how did you end up in a domestic violence situation?
Ooh, child. We got time. How much time we got on this show? No, I'm joking.
As much time as you need,
How
because you do
much?
not look like some people feel like the typical domestic survivor, like, oh, they're just lowly, they look homely, they don't have no self-esteem and no
Right.
self-worth. That does not look like you. So tell us what happened. How did you end up there?
Well, you listen, how I ended up there, believe it or not, Angela, at a very, very young age. My
Okay.
very first love, my high school sweetheart, was my first experience with domestic violence. I was only, what, 15, maybe 16 years old. And people like, well, how could you end up in a domestic violence situation? I'm going to tell you.
I
Okay.
cannot believe, Samantha, I didn't know we had that in common, but I'm gonna let you finish your story. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Listen, and I'm glad. And see, this is why I really want to raise awareness, because people need to watch their daughters. And
Yes.
I want the youth that I do have an ear with, those children that listen to me, to hear me,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can be
Mm-hmm.
aware as well. But I was very young. I was impressionable. I had met this young guy through some mutual friends, and he was a little older than me. and he went to, one of the cool schools, and he
Mhm.
looked like Usher. I mean, everybody used to say he looks like Usher. He was just, handsome as all get out. And he was extremely charming, extremely charming. And
Wow.
we put in our time, and I was our relationship kind of made us cool. Like we were the ideal, so to speak, couple, because he would
Couple, yes.
he would
Mhm.
spoil me. He would buy me. I remember he bought me like this monogram. This was cool back then. The monogram, the nameplate. He bought me my first monogram nameplate. He bought me a Coach purse. Like he would just,
Uh-huh.
that was huge as a teenager. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
And so, he spoiled me with gifts, spoiled me with attention. He was definitely eye catching, and he was charming. And when things kind of got, I guess, tumultuous,
Mhm.
we were. It's funny because I'm writing a book and I tell this story, but in the book, but we were at a dance and I was telling everybody, I had a man, I had a
Mhm,
boyfriend,
mhm.
and this was our pop out. This was our pop out moment.
Right, right. It's
And
like coming out session.
yeah, this is our pop out moment. So we get ready to pop out. And he had taken my car because the dance, it was just for the beta club, very small, intimate holiday, something or another. It wasn't like a big, like homecoming or nothing.
Right.
But it was amongst my close friends and my family, because I went to school with some cousins and stuff. And I remember he had said that he wanted to go to Burger King because we didn't have real food. And he took my car over to Burger King. He took so long, I knew something
Mm.
was wrong. I got scared. And my cousin let me use her car to go to Burger King. And he was over there with a girl who was a senior in my school.
Wow.
They were booed up. We were booed up.
Okay.
And
So we
pride
ain't
wouldn't
having
let.
that in my car.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, you roll with me. I'm your ride. You can't do that to me.
Okay.
So pride wouldn't let me just go back to the dance and be like, oh, oh boy is booed up with
Mhm.
somebody else, especially somebody that we all knew. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So I came with a family emergency, and then I went back and I picked him up. I was like, nah, you coming home. I brought you here. I'm gonna drop you off home. And when I got to his house, I tried to do a whole breakup thing, and he slammed me on the car.
Oh, wow.
Grabbed me, slammed me on the car, and but as he was slamming me, he was just like, "Listen, I shouldn't have did that." He was apologetic, and
Mhm,
it got
mhm.
my attention, and something in me was drawn to that like bad boy edge. So I kind
Yeah,
of like,
yeah.
I felt like I won. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is it, and we'll move forward from here. We'll be okay after
Right,
this.
because
But
he fighting for me. He don't want to let me go. That type thing. Yeah. Yep.
okay, okay, and but remember, this is Usher now. This ain't
Mhm,
this ain't
mhm.
Crusty Dusty at my school. This is somebody at another school, real handsome, real fine, built like a football player. Like, okay.
Right.
So we giving him a pass on this one, which really, that was my first like experience of compromise that I should not have made. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
right.
valuing myself, and it shouldn't have been about looks. It shouldn't have been about persona. It shouldn't have been about any of those things. I was really focused on the wrong things, but I was young and I was
You just
vain.
say we were young. You didn't know no better.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then, but increasingly, as I gave him that pass, he began to get very possessive.
Mhm.
It got to the point where, I couldn't speak to nobody. I couldn't hug nobody. And I couldn't, you know what I mean? And then it
All so
started getting
familiar.
to the point where, if something did look suspect to him, then he caused scenes. He could jack
Mhm,
me up. And
mhm.
mind you, this is, he had a car, and so we're establishing our flow together as young
Right,
kids, and
right.
I'm going into college, and this seeps into my college life, and we're having all these spats in public, and he's, getting arrested, and of course I'm feeling bad because if I would have just shut up, if I wouldn't have said nothing, he
Mhm,
wouldn't have got
mhm.
arrested. You know what I mean? So we're
Thinking it's
going
your
through
fault.
that. We're going through that cycle, and then eventually, I guess when I realized that it was a truly a domestic violence situation, was when he threatened to take my life.
Oh, wow.
He threatened to kill me, and he literally said those words. He was like, "I'm going to kill you." And then I was like, "Well, what would you do? How would that hurt your family?" He was like, "Well, I'll just have to kill myself."
Wow. And
He
you took
was
them serious.
Yeah, he was definitely. I go into the details in my book, but in this moment, like that is when the Lord really showed me like the power of prayer, as well
Mhm.
as showing me that the demonic world was real, because I
Yeah, yeah.
watched him transform into something that I couldn't recognize. And I knew that the only way out of that was to call on Jesus. And I did, and the Lord spared me. But instead of me
Mm.
adhering to his warning, I stayed because I felt like, okay, well, that was the break, you know. the cycle has broken with that ex,
Right,
you know.
right, right.
And I was still very new in my personal walk with God, you know what I mean? And
Mhm, mhm.
so I stayed and we came to Georgia together, and it just got worse. It got worse. And
Wow.
the more jealous he got, the more possessive he got. It began to push me away. And I wanted to play too, because of course most guys that are jealous and possessive are also cheaters. That's the
Yes,
irony of it.
yes, yes,
So,
yes.
you know, he's playing the field. I wanna get my lick back, you know, because I'm
Mhm,
young.
mhm.
And when I got my lick back, you know, that was the lick that would knock my head between the washer and dryer. So it was
Wow. Yeah.
the final straw was a day, you know, I had decided that I wanted to uh abstain. I wanted to do the right thing and not be intimate. And I was over at his house. I shouldn't have been there, but I was over at his house because he said he needed my help for something. You know, they always got a sob story. And so I
Right,
went
right,
over,
right.
I went over, and he tried to be intimate with me, and I refused. And so he told me to get out, and he cussed me out real bad. I was on the way to close my door. Closed the front door to the house, and he closed my finger in the door.
Oh my goodness.
Door is completely shut, and my finger is in it. Um, and that was that was life changing for me, because that was the first time that I had to like go to the hospital because of my injury.
Wow.
Yeah, they
How
had to
long were you
burn
in the relationship overall? How
four
many years?
years.
4
Four
years.
years.
Wow.
Two
Now,
years.
during this time, did your parents know or anybody close to you know that you shared that you were in this situation?
My mom always knew. She had
Mm,
mothers. She has discernment. She has the Holy Ghost. She knew that something wasn't right. I never, you know, would tell her the extent of the danger that I was in, because I knew she wouldn't
yeah.
have that. But she knew that the spirit driving him and driving our interactions was very much so tormenting. She didn't trust him, and she was right to not
Mhm.
do it. But the more a mother tells you to stay away from somebody for whatever reason, the closer it drives you to that person. So
Right, right, right.
you know, I had people in my ear telling me, you know, your mom's she's single and she just jealous and yada yada yada. I mean, church folk, this ain't
Crazy.
people off
Yeah,
the street.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
people telling
yeah.
me, you know, you got you a fine boyfriend. She just don't want you to be with nobody because she wants you all to herself and all of this other stuff. And
So they
I'm
treat you
listening
for
because
yeah.
that feeds the side of me that doesn't want to leave.
Mhm,
That gives
mhm,
me
mhm.
whatever validation I need to hold
That
on
you
to
needed
stay
to
in this
stay
situation.
for a little while longer.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. In my situation, I was 16 when I got into this domestic violence situation. I met this little young guy through a mutual friend. We were at a track meet in high school. He didn't go to my school. He went to a neighbor. He lived in a neighboring city, and
Mhm.
so my girlfriend knew him, and so we were at the track meet and introduced him. He reminds me of Ti with green
Ah,
eyes.
we both got celebrity lookalikes.
Yes, Ti with green eyes, a little taller, just
Oh
slightly
wow.
older. So, of course, my parents, I'm a PK's kid, so they was not having it. So, of course, it's the fact that they didn't really like him. They wanted someone else for me, and I didn't like him because he was just like, oh, he's too churchy, whatever.
Yeah.
I needed the bad boy, and
Yeah.
left home trying to get away from another situation, and did not know that this guy, thinking he's the love of my life because I was head over heels in love. Like you said, he's giving me all this attention. He's buying me
Mhm.
clothes and doing all this stuff. Very caring and attentive, so I thought, but definitely possessive. And I can't even tell you to remember the first hit, but it was just something that I didn't even think it would have brought on somebody to
Yeah.
slap me. He slapped me so
Yeah.
hard, and I'm just like, oh my God, did he just
Wow.
slap me?
Wow.
And of course, immediately it's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but you did such and such. And of course, it was my fault, of course. And I was like, okay, the first time I'm gonna let you get away with this.
Mhm.
Again, as you said, you give the first pass. Um, they're sweet, buying gifts and catering and all that stuff, making you think, okay, this is never going to happen again, and then you
Right.
catch you off guard, another situation, and it happens
Right.
again. Um, and that continued. I ended up getting pregnant at 17.
Wow.
And by the time I'm at home, or I went home, let me say that my parents were so loving and caring. It's like, come and get me because this is happening. So they was coming up and down the road to get me. And again, he would talk me back into it. I'm giving another chance because I was in love. I'm in love. I'm in love. And I would go back and come back. The last straw for me was our baby was born prematurely. And he
Wow.
was down here in Atlanta. We lived in another city in Georgia. So baby's here in Atlanta at Grady. Well, at Hugh Spalding Hospital. And then I'm at home 2 weeks after delivery. And I had told my parents to come and get me because I had enough. I'm not want to deal with this anymore. So my mom's in the living room and he was gone to work. But I think he had to have felt that I was going to leave for whatever reason. And so my dad is outside in the driveway waiting for me to come out, and he comes in the back door. My mom couldn't get to me, and he grabs me, drags me over a kitchen table, out the back door, through a screen, down some cement steps, over a wire fence. I'm trying to get some bearings. When I finally do get my bearing, he hit me so hard, just really knocked the wind out of me. And before I could raise my head, he has a knife in my back and said, "If you scream, I'm gonna kill you." And so we're just walking through this neighborhood, like I'm just like praying in my head. I'm praying like, Lord, he's gonna kill me. My parents don't know where I'm at. They don't know where I'm at because it happened so quick. They could. My dad was on the other side of the house because he's in the driveway waiting for me to come out the front door, and he drags me out the front door. And the way where my mom was at, she couldn't get to me. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. So he's gonna kill me. He's kill me. My father, who had discernment of spirit, I don't know, to this day, he just said the Lord showed him. We were behind a set of apartments with no street view, and my dad walks around
Jesus.
the apartment, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord. And I asked him later, like, how did you find us? He said the Lord showed me where you was. There was no way he could have seen us where we were
Jesus.
because there was no street view, and the Lord showed him where I was. And that was
Wow.
it for me. That was the last straw for me. I never went back
Wow.
after that.
Wow.
So at a young age, people are like, oh my gosh, how could that happen? He was one of those people who had a very tumultuous life as well. As youth
Right.
growing up, he's seen his mom being abused. So he had a lot of anger. And for me, I felt like the more I loved him, that was my thing. If I love him more, I can just love it out of him. It seemed like the worse he got because he couldn't handle the love that I
The
was
love.
giving. So you cannot love the abuse away. You can never do that. You can never
That
do
is
that.
so true. That is so true. And most of the time it is some sort of, mommy issue or something or another. I mean, he's gone on to now be married and he has a beautiful family. And, I pray that everything, I trust and believe that everything is well with him now. It's just that as a young
Yes,
child, we were teenagers, we were young adults, and um without the proper guidance and accountability and deliverance, you know what
that's
I
true.
mean?
That's
You
true. That's
hurt
true.
people, and that's
This is
that's the
true.
truth.
This is true. This is
So,
true. And that's another thing that I like to talk about is because people are like, well, how did you get into it? Some people think that domestic violence looks a certain way, that is only for the poor, or they just something's going on with them, and that's not necessarily true. I came from a decent home. We lived well. I didn't want for anything, so that
right,
I didn't come from the trailer park
right,
or anything like that. But because I was dealing with a lot of pain on the inside, I attracted pain. I was hurt. I was insecure, so I attracted that as
yeah,
well. So it wasn't until many years later, when I started my healing journey, that I became aware, like how I some of the signs were there. I just overlooked them because I didn't
right,
know. I wasn't aware. I was not
sure,
aware,
sure.
especially the possessiveness. I thought that was cute. Oh, he just wants to be
Yeah,
under me all the time. He
that's
don't
right.
want me to talk to nobody because he's scared somebody's gonna get me or take me away. I thought that was cute. No, that is
Well, if we're
possession.
honest, indifference, like the what is the opposite of that? You have the guy that's indifferent. He don't really care
Yes.
if somebody.
Yeah.
We don't like that
Exactly.
either. That's so it's kind of like,
Exactly.
okay, well, I'd rather have somebody that claims me and
That's
seems to
right.
want me
Yep.
around,
Yep.
and
Yep.
all of that, than the one that seems like he could take it or leave it. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
I,
Yeah. He
when
cares.
you
Yep.
don't have, I could say from me, and I know your example, you had a mom and father in the home, and I'm not blaming my parents. My parents have amazing parents. Mom a PK as well. My dad's a
Mhm.
pastor. Mom was always in ministry, and both praying, God fearing people, discerning people. Um, Loved me to life. I had an amazing community. let
Yes.
me let me say this.
Yes.
I was always raised in the church. I was never ever, like the castaway. I was always like the I won't say the star because we were all stars, but we were stars. I was part
Yes.
of the star clan, okay?
Yes. Yes.
I was part of the galaxy. So I had a amazing support system. The main thing was I didn't know what love looked like.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm,
so when you don't
mm-hmm.
have an example of my door just opened and my dog is now like in here.
Oh,
Look
look how
at it. Say hi,
cute.
Onyx. But the thing about it is, when you don't have an example of what love looks like, you allow anything. No harmony. You allow anything to define it, and
That's true.
so
That's true.
I didn't know, like possessive was wrong.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
didn't know about love bombing. I
Right,
didn't
right, right,
know
right.
that about manipulation, because the Bible
Mm-hmm.
says to the pure all things are pure. I'm just young
Right,
and I just
right.
want love. I'm a lover
Exactly,
girl,
exactly.
and you know what
Yes.
I'm saying.
I want to be
Um,
loved. I want to give love. I want to
want to
share. I
be
just want to be
that's
happy.
it.
That's all.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Like Onyx, he just wants some love right now. That's all.
Yes.
But
And attention.
that's it. That's it.
Love
But
and attention.
yeah.
So
So that was my first
how did
experience.
your transition? I know you said what was your last straw, but how did your transition actually occur? Did he continue to try to pursue you after you finally made your, like stance? I'm not going back into this relationship in your transition. Did he
Most
just like
definitely. Most
alone?
definitely. Most definitely. There was a lot of wooing attempts. He was the type of person, like if I was on a date, and I'm talking about we're not together, he'll
Yes.
walk up on somebody and be like, "Listen, may the best man."
Wow.
He walked up on somebody one time and was like, "Listen, may the best man win." I was
Okay.
like, because he always was able to buy me something or do
Hmm.
something. There was like
Hmm.
always some sort of act to loop me back in. And I learned swiftly that he was not taking no for an answer. He didn't feel
Hmm.
as though,
Hmm.
this no was any different from any other no in times
Right.
past when I've
Right.
always
Yeah.
allowed the gift to lure me back in. So at the end of the day, for me, I think I had to go no contact. I had to involve my leadership, because I remember going to
Hmm.
my pastor and asking him to talk to him.
Hmm.
And my pastor talked to him, and when he did that, like other people had to step in. So that was the break.
Main
Yeah.
transition. Yeah. It was like after I left and I said I wasn't going back. There was the wooing, like, and we actually, I think, I don't know, I developed some power, some strength from somewhere. Just like once I said, I'm over it, I'm over it, I'm not going back. And so it didn't matter what he said. And I think once he finally realized that, the wooing kind of stopped, but because we had a child, so there was some interaction. We had to have some type of relationship there. Um, but years later, praise be to God, he finally apologized. I never sought the apology. He apologized, but he went through some things after. I really have to say it. His life went spiraling downhill after we broke up.
Wow.
But years later, he came back and apologized. So we're cordial now. Whenever I see him, actually follows me on Facebook, so he may be
Oh wow.
tuned. He may see this live.
Now why
But
you did that? No, I'm joking.
yeah, I'm still in contact with some of his family members. But yeah, it's like after I developed that power, I don't know
Yeah.
what it was that is like no is no. I'm not going back, and I developed some of my self worth. I knew. Pastor preached this Sunday about having a change of mind. I came to myself, I'm like, listen, I ain't
Yeah.
got to take this.
Yeah.
I could be at home. I don't have to take this abuse. There's something somewhere else better for me. And I decided I'm not going to take it
Yeah.
anymore. And so what I realized with a lot of people who are in domestic violence relationships, they stay for different reasons, whether they have
Yeah.
children together, whether they're married. Someone has just worked on your self-esteem so much and it's down to the ground. You feel like I can't do any better than this because
Absolutely.
that was said to me a couple of times in
Absolutely.
this particular relationship. I ended up getting into another abusive relationship years later, married. Wasn't as physical, but it was more verbal and emotional.
Hmm.
So it's just like, okay, I'm just going from one cycle to the next.
Well,
That
that's
one, I
exactly what I did. That
yeah,
was literally exactly what I did. I left him, and I thought, that was going to be it. I had learned my lesson, and then when I
mm-hmm,
got married, at like 21, which I had no business doing because I didn't even understand myself. I didn't know my purpose, and
same
but I
thing.
was just really looking around at my surroundings, and everybody was like just My goal was I wanted to have the longevity. I wanted to be 50 or 40, 50 years old and say that I had been married for 20 something years.
Yes, yes,
And so
yes.
I, you know,
Because
I,
nobody gets married saying I'm gonna get divorced in 2 years or 8 years or whatever the
absolutely.
case may be. That's not what you do.
Absolutely not. And so when I got married, I was very young, and then I had Titus and Serenity shortly thereafter. And even though, there may have been maybe one time we had a physical altercation, but the rest of
Hmm.
it was just like, no, nobody's gonna want you. You're not this, you're
Hmm.
not that,
Hmm.
you don't know nothing, you ain't, it was a whole lot of that, a lot of tearing down, making me
Yeah,
feel
yeah. Hmm.
undesirable, making me feel unattractive, making me feel like I didn't have much to contribute to a relationship. And
Right,
I
right.
was and looking back in retrospect, I've always had a good job. I've always had a nice car. I've always kept myself well. I've always been very nurturing and um, sold into my children. So I guess when you don't understand self worth, but the other
Hmm.
piece of it is, like you said, the Bible talks about. I think in the New English, the New Living Translation, it talks about adaptability, how
Hmm.
it's the woman's job to adapt to the
Yes.
husband.
Yeah,
And so when
yeah.
you adapt, your mindset adapts. You are basically
Everything.
giving
Yeah.
this person jurisdiction to shape how you see yourself because they're the leader. And
Yes.
so I began to see myself through his lens instead of my own. And around 30 or so, the light bulb went off, and I was like, I'm not taking this. Like, there
Right,
was so
right,
much infidelity, there was so much lack of appreciation and disrespect. There was just so many things that I had grown accustomed to over the course of a decade that
right. Yeah.
just eventually I decided that this was not going to be my life. I wanted my children. Um, I Serenity used to get in between us and like push us when we would
Mm,
argue.
yeah, yeah.
And Titus, he had developed a habit of closing his ears and screaming. He would
Wow. Yeah.
ah ah,
It
and
was having an effect on them. Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
that like even talking about it right now makes me want to cry. That will break my heart seeing my children
yeah,
respond that way
yeah,
because
yeah.
that wasn't the type of home that I wanted to cultivate for them.
Exactly.
I wanted
Yes.
them to be able to give and receive love. And I knew that if they remembered enough of that in their formative years, that it would be something very, very hard for them to relearn as they grew up.
Yes. Because they were either um Serenity could either go into a relationship like that because she was seeing it with her
Or
mom,
Titus
like,
could
okay, it's
become it.
okay. She dealt with it. I can too. Or Titus could be like, okay, well, I see my mom get abused, so that's what it's supposed to happen. I'm gonna be abusive. You never know how they internalize that, how it's gonna come out. Because
You're
I
so
was the
right
same way with my kids. I don't want I have sons, so I was like, I do not want my sons to
to be that
see
way.
me first of all like this, their father taking me
Yeah.
through this, and feel like that is okay. And because again, I stayed for several reasons as long as I did. We were both in ministry. I'm like, I don't want to go through a broke up marriage, and my
Yeah.
kids, I'll be a single parent. And of course, people are telling me, because on the outside looking in, it's like, oh, they got the perfect family. I got a house, I got the car, 2 cars, I got the kids, and everything's lovely. No, I was tormented,
Yeah.
tormented,
Yeah.
tormented, tormented, tormented. And I finally, I mean, I don't tell nobody to get a divorce, but I just remember praying and asking and telling God, you have the power to restore this marriage how you want it to be, or you have the power to dissolve it. I don't care which one you do. I just need peace of mind because that's just where I was at. I needed peace. I was just
Yeah.
so tormented in my
Yeah.
mind and didn't really know what to do. And eventually God made the way out. Some things happened. I didn't even know what was happening. It was like, oh God, okay.
Yeah.
You don't play about me.
That's right. He knows how to make it plain. When
He
it's
made
time
it
to make it
plain.
plain, he's gonna make it plain.
He made it plain. He got me out of that. But so I am so appreciative of your story. This is so good. Guys, I know the ones of you who are listening, please share, invite someone
Yes.
in as we're talking about domestic violence awareness this month. Samantha has an amazing story. I'm sharing part of my story. Please share. I sit on the board of directors for a nonprofit called Safe Haven Transitional, which is a transitional home for domestic abuse survivors who are transitioning out of maybe shelters and they're not able to support themselves, move to their own homes just yet. So Safe Haven Transitional gives that support. So they have housing that they're able to move into and support them. I think it's up 6 months or up to a year.
Wow.
And they have other sources such as counseling, some educational resources for you. So you'll see a QR code up here. It's in the top left on my top left, maybe on your right. But if you scan that, you're able to donate. So we are asking for donations. Most nonprofits survive off of grants and donations. And with this new administration that we have, a lot of grants are on hold or they have just been dismissed. So we are asking for donations, $25, whatever you want to donate, $10, $100. We'll be doing this each week this month for domestic violence. So any donation we will appreciate. And you can go visit the website as well as transitional. Safe Haven Transitional.org is the website. Transitional Safe Haven .org is the did I say that right? Safehaventransitional.org, yes, is the website. But go ahead and scan that QR code. So Samantha, how did you begin to rebuild your confidence and self-esteem after leaving out of this relationship?
Well, you know what? I really had to throw myself into my gifts.
Mm,
The things that I was good at and the things that got me positive reinforcement and some sort of, whether it be instant or prolonged gratification, which would be seeing my children's success, which would
mm-hmm,
be climbing the corporate ladder. Those are the sorts of things that allowed me to really be able to buckle down and say, you know what, Samantha, you don't need this. Like, this aspect of your life is not
mm-hmm,
contributing
mm-hmm.
to your success in any way. And so once I realized that I was able to find like a niche of success and I was able to thrive, and I also had to recognize that these relationships that I was allowing myself to stay in were stressors and deterrents from the success that I was trying to achieve.
Yes,
So I had to
yes,
lock in
yes.
on the greater goal, and that's how I began to build myself up. Now it didn't end there. Like, even after, the teenage relationship, my first marriage, I called myself trying to get married again. Thank God. God will look out for. They say He looks out for babies and fools. That's what the old people said, and I was a little bit of both. Um, but
Yes.
but the second time around, even like like I said with the children's dad, which we have a amicable relationship now,
Mm-hmm.
but that one wasn't as violent. The next relationship that I got into was after divorce. My children's dad had got married very swiftly, and
Mm,
I wanted to kind of like move on. Like,
mm-hmm,
I wanted to
mm-hmm.
move on.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't I wasn't stuck, but I just wanted to like disassociate myself from
From all of
that
that. Yes.
marriage.
Yeah.
And so the
Yes.
next relationship that I got in, I mean, this was the one that did the high speed chases down the street. This was the one that would knock on my window 5 o'clock in the morning. This was the one that was creating, Facebook pages and stalking me and leaving nasty
Wow.
comments, to the point where, like, for a long time, I had so much PTSD. I remember when I finally got out of that relationship. It ended with a day of me trying to take my children to school, and he had got caught up in some mess with, an infidelity situation, and he tried to hold me hostage. And
Mm,
this was not his first time. He would have these bouts of not wanting me to leave the room, or not wanting me to leave the house, blocking the door with appliances. Like, it was nuts. It was like nothing that I've ever been in. And I remember one time a police officer told me, he was like, we've been over to this address probably about 6 times in the past 3 months. He said, I need you to
wow.
understand, I've been married to my wife for 26 years and she's never had to call the police on me.
Mm,
And when he said that to me, I was like, I'm not supposed to have to call the police on
right.
the person
Right.
that I'm supposed to, like, this is not normal, you know what I mean? Um
Exactly.
I had normalized it because it was all that I knew. And he was another one that was love bombing, really, really charming in the beginning. And then when the script flipped, it flipped. But didn't out want me to leave, didn't want to see me with anybody else, even though he had his own thing going on. But I think, again, hurt people hurt people. I really
Yeah.
don't give that much credence to this situation, because in that situation, let me tell you something. I called myself trying to call myself trying to get married, right? Got the wedding certificate in one state and had the ceremony in another state, so the marriage was never legalized.
Girl. Oh my goodness.
The marriage was never legalized. I think I had to eventually like file in order to just be sure my I's were dotted and my T's were crossed legally. Not that he had anything or could have gotten anything from me. He had like nothing. But the fact of the matter was, just they were like, well, if you say the vows in front of people, you don't want anybody to be able to vouch and say, okay, yeah, they're married. So just, for the sake of that, you can file it. And like, I think I had to file it and go across the hall and
So
null
you
it.
still had to file for divorce or annulment?
I had to file for annulment.
Wow.
Just because we said the vows, like just because there were
Mm,
and there were witnesses. So
yeah.
that experience taught me a lot, but it also birthed Sam Says, which is my motivational speaking platform, because I felt like the enemy tried to silence me in that. A lot of the people in my sphere of influence were through him, and they began to make me feel like I was pouring. They have this thing where you can't pour from a dirty cup, and
Hmm.
my cup
Hmm.
wasn't dirty. That was my truth. Like they don't want you to speak out about things that put the people that they know or they love in a negative light. If I say this man yelled and cussed at me all night to where my children couldn't go to sleep for school, that's what happened.
Wow.
And anybody who would tell me that there's something that I did to cause that, unless they're telling me, unless I'm literally physically fighting him back, there is no excuse for somebody treating you that way. And so
That's true.
I would also
Yes,
admonish
yes.
anybody that's listening to this and that has a friend and don't know how to support them or is going through it and don't know what to do and don't know what to think. Let me just say, we stop victim blaming. Stop victim
Mm,
blaming and stop victim shaming,
yes,
because
yes.
there was so much shame associated with it. I remember it took a dear friend of mine one instance when he jumped on me. It was because a gentleman who liked me. I had never had any dealings with this man or anything like that, but he called himself trying to shoot a shot. He cash apped me. I didn't know you
Mm,
can erase cash app history. I was new to cash app. This was years ago, and when this boy saw this cash app, he jumped on top of me and he he punched me in my face 3 times. But it's like an angel was guarding me because it's like I could see the motion, but I never felt the impact.
mm,
I
mm.
saw the motion, like I'm here, and I remember the moment thinking, like, am I losing my mind? Like, clearly he's
Right.
hitting me, but clearly I don't feel it. And I even got up and touched my face, like, am I tripping? But as the Lord would have it, I didn't feel the impact of it. And I remember the next morning calling a friend of mine and telling her about what happened, just being transparent. And she was like, you know what? I need you to understand. I remember the biggest point she was driving home to me was like, I need you to understand there's nothing that you did that made this okay.
That's right.
And I kept saying, like,
Nothing.
but I shouldn't have had the guy cash app and I wasn't, that I was wrong. Like, she was like, no, 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 no. And so I remember that, but I remember that blockage in my thought process of
Hmm.
feeling like there was something that I did that warranted,
Yes.
clearly he loved me. He was just upset,
That's a symptom of abuse. We do that.
Stockholm
We
syndrome.
are
Yeah.
protectors. We either protect the
Yep.
abuser, like, oh, it's not as bad as it seems, or he didn't really mean to do it. He loves me.
Yeah.
It's my fault if I hadn't
Yeah.
triggered him, if I hadn't did whatever.
Yeah.
We do that, and then of course, if you're hearing someone say, "Well, what did you do to make him
Yeah.
do that to you?"
Yeah.
Or whatever, like the victim blaming,
Victim
there's no
blaming. Yeah.
excuse for abuse, for someone putting their hands on you, whether
Absolutely.
you're a male or a female. I know men who have been in
Yeah.
domestic violence relationships, and they definitely don't talk about it because of the shame. Like, I'm a man, this ain't supposed to be happening to
Right.
me,
Right.
and it happens. And then, of course, we don't say, because we're ashamed. Like, I really don't want to tell nobody that I'm being abused.
Right. Right.
Uh, so we definitely, later in the next week, we'll probably talk more about symptoms, like how to
Yeah.
recognize someone who may be in domestic violence relationship. I had a coworker who sat next to me, and I did not notice she was in a domestic violence
Mhm.
relationship. She hid it so well. She was always happy and go lucky, making people laugh, and was in a domestic violence relationship. And nobody knew it, until
Yeah.
they found her body off in a river. Um,
Wow. I hate
yeah.
that. I hate that that was her demise. Somebody just asked if I ever went to a shelter. I never went to a shelter. Because I've always had the support of my loved ones. I never had
Hmm.
to.
Hmm.
I've always had family and friends who I can knock on their door 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I always had somewhere to go. That's not
Yeah.
everybody's story, but I'm blessed to
Yeah.
have it a part of mine, which is why, well, we'll talk about the story later, but why I think it's so important to celebrate, uh, not just the survivors, but the community. of the
Yes,
survivors,
yes, yes.
because
That is so important.
it's
Yes.
a hard thing to watch somebody you love go through that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now I had a good support system as well, so I never had to go to a shelter. If it wasn't my parents, I had a good friend who lived in the city. I would always go to her house. God even blessed it. One time I had a good neighbor. I was like over their
Yeah.
house hiding out sometimes. So
Yeah, God will send angels. I've had people off the street
yep.
to see me get in encounters that have almost
Yes.
like that have pulled out guns on my aggressors. Like I've seen God has
Wow.
always had an
Yeah. Yeah.
angel in a situation, be it a stranger or someone that's kindred to me, to look out for me. And in the most recent encounter that I had with it, beyond that, I thought I was done. But
Hmm.
what I
Hmm.
realized was God got me again because I was in rebellion. After the pandemic, once
Yeah.
the pandemic
Yeah.
hit,
Yeah.
I knew better than to be shacking. That ain't never been my life. Well, doing this kind of stuff and or having, not to knock anybody who's done it, but that was just not the thing that I, was raised to accept, having a baby out of wedlock and things of that nature. And
Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I just really, um, I felt like, if I'm honest with myself, I had a resentment towards God because I felt
Mm.
like I grew up doing it the right way. I tried
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
get
Mhm.
married and then have the children. I tried to do it the church girl way, and I gave 10 years of my life to somebody who I probably should never even gave my phone number to because we were
Right.
incompatible.
Yeah.
We didn't have I didn't have the butterflies. And so when I met somebody who I felt like, okay, well, we laughed together, we got the best friend kind of vibe going, that's what I was in search for. And I I was in search for it. And when I got it, even though it was not in alignment with what, I knew was right, I was like, you know what? Well, I tried it the right way and that didn't
Right.
work for me. So this what I'm finna do. This,
Okay.
this what I'm finna do. And when I
I
did
get it.
that, I recognized that I linked myself with someone who live states away. I didn't know their family. I didn't understand the truth of their background. And
Mhm.
when the truth came out that not only does this person have a history of domestic violence, but he also has, I think, 12 or 11 other children that he's not mentioning to you. And now you have a child that's involved in these are things that the enemy would have you be blind to
Yeah.
because he wants you entrapped. Now, here it is. God had blessed me to move to another city, to make more money than I've ever made. And I couldn't even enjoy my success because
Yeah.
I was so
Yeah.
bogged down with, answer my phone calls, make my breakfast, da da da.
Mhm. Mhm.
Or the yelling and the profanity and the cuss outs 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. My children can't sleep again, and I'm on the phone. This time I was smart about it, like, because if you don't capture it or if you don't have somebody who can hear it, people
Right.
make you think you're crazy.
Yeah. Right.
They'll
And then
make you
here.
think like, oh, not him,
Mhm.
not that nice person. You don't even know them.
Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And
Exactly.
so, but my children began to, they're older now. You can't silence them like you could silence a little bitty.
Exactly. Yeah. A
They
little
gonna get that
2-year-old.
best friend or
Yeah.
that godparent, and
Yep.
they gonna start talking. And I knew.
Exactly. They're gonna start talking and they're gonna
And
tell it.
thankfully they did, at the end of the day, thankfully they did, because I had to wake up to myself like, Samantha, I knew it
Mm.
was wrong, but I didn't think that there was another way out because, again, I had
Mm.
normalized it for so long. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see a question.
Yeah.
Somebody said, did you seek help outside of immediate family? Um, yes, I did. I always had like a friend that I could confide in. This most recent encounter was my first time ever reaching out to a domestic violence like line, like I called the line.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
I can honestly say, and this is just my experience, I'm not castigating or condemning anybody who's called the line. I'm saying when I call the line, I would probably never call the line again. I just won't call the line.
Really? What was your experience?
My experience of calling the line was just, it was very
Now, this
transactional.
is the
It was,
domestic violence hotline or something?
yes, ma'am. It was
Okay.
transactional. It was void of concern. I didn't that, but now that could have just been that one off, that person. You know
Mm.
what I mean? There
Mhm.
wasn't any
Mhm.
real follow up. But by that time, I was very, very privy to the process. I had some amazing people that walked me through and said, like, look, this is how you get the restrainer order. This is how you have the individual served. This is how you this is how you that. And even though I felt like, and this is another thing that I want to kind of like dismantle, I felt like I could not serve the restraining order until there was like some sort of incident.
Mm. Mhm. A recent one. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
not true. That's not true. If you're living in an environment that where your safety has been compromised
Mm-hmm.
for any reason, you're even verbal abuse is abuse.
It
Financial
is.
abuse is
It
abuse.
is definitely. That's yeah, exactly.
Somebody
Yes.
withholding money from you
There's
to pay
different types
bills.
of abuse, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
there's all
always
sorts.
physical.
All
Yes.
sorts. But the common thing that kept me in this situation is I was a little bit strong in Christ now, and I felt like, there's no power greater than the power that's within me, and which there is not. But a
Right.
person has to
Right.
want
Right.
deliverance. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was like, well, you done already been married, twice. You got 3 kids now. What you gonna do now? And I was like, okay, well, it's probably best I just go ahead and sit this one out. But the devil is a liar,
Most
because
definitely.
that the Bible says that the thoughts that God thinks towards us are thoughts about peace, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to bring us to an expected
That's
end.
right.
There was
That's right.
nothing peaceable about my home. There's nothing peaceable about my children hearing me called everything but a child of God. There's
Mm,
nothing peaceable about me being strangled with my daughter in my arms and she's an
Jesus.
infant. There's nothing peaceable about me saying you have to leave the house because we all need a moment, and then you sneaking back into the house 2, 3 in the morning where we thinking it's a burglar. There's nothing peaceable
About
about
that.
me having
Right.
to bring
Yeah.
my children with me to work, and you're
Mm,
home,
mm, mm.
but you just don't want them here. There's nothing peaceable about that. Those are things, and a lot of people figure like, it always has to be your eye is black, or you bleed, your nose is
That's not
bloody.
all. No.
It's not it's not
No.
that either.
No.
It is that and this. You understand what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
It can
So
be that, but it's not
yeah,
always that.
it's not
Yeah. In
always
my
that.
first
Correct.
situation, it was that. The black eyes, the
Yeah.
swollen lips had to take off from work because my eyes black and it's swollen up, and I want nobody asking questions, or my lip is all bruised,
Right.
or I'm trying to cover up where, choke me, bruises around my
Right.
neck, makeup, I've been through that. And then on the other side, I've been through the verbal and the emotional where it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
can
Where your pain,
anybody
pain
see
can't
this
function.
pain?
Yeah.
Can anybody see it?
Yeah.
And nobody could see it seemingly because I
For
was
sure.
covering. I was good, got good at covering, smiling through it all.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want anybody to know what was going on. And again,
Same. Yeah.
you in church, you in ministry, people are looking at you, and how do you're ministering to other people? So how do you tell people that
And not
I'm
for nothing, we're taught to what, cover and protect. You
cover
know,
every
I've
text?
heard
Yeah,
messages, cover me till I recover. Like I
yeah,
it's a theme,
yeah.
especially in and then what goes on in your house stays in your house. So there's
Yeah,
always
you
that
try
fine
to go
line of
through
when
the
to speak out.
counseling with the pastor, and all of that good stuff. Now,
Yeah,
during this time, I didn't know much about counseling, as far as marital counseling or anything like that.
yeah,
Beyond the church, beyond your pastor, you go into somebody other counselor. We're just now in recent years talking about going to counseling and
like
healing.
clinical counseling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
clinical counseling.
that's
And that
right.
was not a thing when I was going through this. Be like, what? No, if you going to counseling, you crazy.
You're
So
crazy. That's
I wasn't
right.
trying to do that, but I'm like, I'm praying. I'm doing all I know to do, Lord. I'm fasting. I'm just like, we trying to talk it out, and we go through these highs and these lows. I'm like, okay, it's a good time, and then right
Yeah,
back to cycle with peace itself. Until finally, like I said, I prayed and said, God, I need peace of mind. You got to do
yeah.
something.
True
And
story,
he
Cynthia. I
definitely,
see she said not
yeah.
cover me till I recover. True story. That's an actual message that
Yep.
was
Not covering
preached.
me until I recover. Who knows when that's going to be, if it ever happens and stuff.
Yeah,
I want to talk real quickly about your healing process,
yeah.
because I feel like that's important, because I know after I got out of the last situation I was in, relationship, there was a period of time where I just had to go through a healing
Mm.
process. Didn't really realize it for a long time, because I thought like, oh, relationship's over and I'm healed from that, until
Mhm.
you start dating again, and then you were like, oh no, I'm triggered, because
Yeah,
now at this point I'm looking at every red flag, blue flag,
yeah,
any flag, just like, is that a flag? Because
yeah,
I'm not trying to go through this again.
yeah,
So I realized that then I'm inflicting pain on the other person now, because I'm really not healed. I'm
yeah,
triggered by
yeah.
anything that
It's a
reminds
real
me
thing
of my past
for
relationship.
sure.
What did it take for you to go to get healed, to get past that? Or are you still going through that process?
Definitely.
Sometimes
I
it's
don't think
continual.
healing ever
Yeah,
ends. You know what I
exactly.
mean? I
Yes.
think that God can use circumstances, he can use lessons, he can use the word, he can use people to heal you. I tell everybody, when I got through that second situation that was kind of like a not marriage,
Mhm.
my mother loved me back to life. She was the one
Yeah.
that just kind of like gave me a quiet place to be and let me sleep. Like people don't even
Mm,
realize when you come out of like domestic violence situation, your nervous system is so rattled. One of the healing things
yes,
is
yes,
you need to
yes.
sleep. Your body has
Hmm.
to heal.
Hmm. Yes.
It was affecting my digestive system. Like it was bad. I go through spouts where I couldn't eat and or it's crazy. But
Stress comes
healing
out in
from
different ways.
it does. It does. And your body keeps the score. But healing for me now looks like welcome embracing my liberty.
Mm,
Um when I can, I do. There was
hmm.
so long I was restricted. I was restricted by, I couldn't go out with this
Hmm.
person or he ain't like that person, so that person couldn't come to the house and this and the other. And I have a very sizable house. So now I entertain
Right, right,
because I
right.
can.
Yes, yes. Freedom,
You know what I
freedom.
mean? I entertain because I can. Healing looks like I go out and then I get a babysitter because I
Hmm.
can. Because it's okay for me to have a day where I'm not mom and I'm just
Yes,
Samantha.
yes.
It's okay. Um, I allow myself to again tap into those gifts and to allow myself to build relation. There was a point in time where I was really antsy with networking. I've always
Hmm.
been a people's person,
Yeah, yeah,
always been a
yeah,
people's person,
yeah.
but I was antsy with networking because I would get like ridicule, like why you gotta have everybody gotta have your number or your Instagram or what you
Yeah,
talking to that
yeah.
person for? And the fact of the matter is you never know how your blessings are gonna come.
This is true.
Every service that you provide doesn't always come with a check. But
Yes,
sometimes
yes.
it comes with a blessing on the other end that a
Hmm.
check
Hmm.
can't
Hmm.
cover. You know what I mean? So I I embrace the opportunities that God gives me. I
Mm.
embrace my solitude. I haven't been in a
Yes,
rush to just be in another relationship. And but
right. Hmm.
I date and
Yes,
I date
yes.
responsibly.
Hmm.
I date holy.
Yes,
I
yes,
love
yes.
somebody. You know, so I those are some of the things. And I also did go through counseling. I went through a 2-day intensive, and
Hmm.
that intensive really looks like me digging into my past, writing out my lifeline. When did I feel like things started to go awry?
Hmm.
Recognizing exploring how I felt in the moment, and
Yes,
then understanding my boundaries and
yes.
being okay with upholding those by any means necessary.
Hmm.
Understanding that a person who really loves me and wants to be a part of my life is going to be okay with those boundaries.
Hmm.
And I don't have to
Hmm.
compromise. And I would tell anybody the biggest thing that I had to tell myself in order to like really, really free myself and be okay with this with this space is you are the prize.
Yes,
Because
yes.
what I found is that most of my life staying in these situations, I wanted to be chosen. But you want to be chosen at the extent of not
Yes,
realizing that, sis, and I say this directly in the camera to who's ever watching, you are a no-brainer. Why
yes.
wouldn't somebody want to choose you?
Exactly,
What's wrong with you
exactly,
that you can't be
exactly.
ain't not a thing.
Yes,
So when I
yes.
say I'm the prize, it's not because I'm just so far up my own backside or anything like that. It's not
Hmm.
in a conceited
Hmm.
way. It's understanding that Samantha um is studious.
Yes,
Samantha, it has a valuable network. Samantha is gifted. Her hands are blessed. My relationships are blessed. My words are blessed. Everything that I touch turns into gold. When
talk
God
about it.
speaks to me,
Amen.
I have
Yes,
a relationship with God. I'm favored.
yes.
And guess what? I'm easy on the eyes. So at
Come
the end
on
of the
here.
day,
That's a
as-
prize.
that
Listen,
I'm the
own that.
prize. I'm
And
the
you
prize.
have to know that. You have to believe that. You have to
That's
believe.
right.
You have to know it. You have to know it and believe it. Because when you don't, then you allow other people who to come in,
That's
and that's
right.
when they are able to easily manipulate you and mistreat you and make you feel less because you don't know your value. But when
You
you know
don't.
your value, you be like, oh no. And if they say
Right.
anything negative against that, then you know, oh, that's not who I need to be dealing with.
And anybody with common sense would understand when you link up with somebody that is as blessed and favored and gifted as
Yes,
somebody like a Samantha or somebody like an Angela, we automatically add value to whatever you got going on. You don't have to be
exactly.
jealous. You don't have
Most
to be
definitely.
intimidated because guess what? We can win together. That's
Yes.
the
Yes.
advantage of
Yes.
it. And so that's all I seek out in life now as in terms of any relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My even my friendships, we win together. My sisterhoods,
Yes.
we win together. And
Yes.
so I trust and believe because the fact of the matter is part of healing is also understanding that I'm not ignorant to the fact that I want to be in a relationship. I'm not ignorant to the
Right.
fact I know I'm
Right.
a wife. Now,
Yes.
whose wife
Right.
is different, but I those are not things that I have to cower from just because I've seen failure in that area. Oh, and
Yes.
I see a question. It said,
Is there? Oh,
has
has
my
for children. Let me show it.
yep. Yes, yes, Patricia. My children have talked to me about their feelings. They have gone to counseling. Um and I do feel like they have lingering trauma in that area. Uh not like the type of trauma that keeps them up at night.
Hmm.
But I feel like that, in some areas they are afraid for me to date. They are a little less trusting about, if mommy likes somebody, they want to, that side of them wants to know, well, who is it? They want to meet them soon.
Yes.
And so then there's that balance
Protective
of like
mode.
when
Yeah.
exactly they're protective. So then there's
My
that
sons
balance of
went
like
through
making like
that. My
excuses
sons went
and
through that. They were very still to this day. They're protective. I just
right.
think part of that is because they're young men. But when they were younger, they were very protective.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was very careful about who I brought around them anyway. But if they did see me getting too close, like okay, there's like who is that? Like what's his motives? Well, what do you want?
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
so yeah, because they're like okay, we know what you went through, we saw it, we witnessed it, and
And
we're
the
not
scary
about
thing
to
about that
allow.
is hearing
Yeah.
that often enough, you start to not trust yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
So part of healing, let me just say that too. Part of healing is learning to trust yourself again.
This is
And
true.
and to
That's
say,
good.
you know
That's
what?
good.
I haven't chosen wisely in times past, but I gotta trust the
Hmm.
God in me that He's not gonna lead me into that again. I have to trust that, I'll be able to identify the red flags when they surface. And I have to be okay with the green flags too. Because everybody
Yeah.
ain't a wolf in sheep clothing.
This is true. But you know what my prayer is, Samantha, now is because I have chosen wrong in the past, is like, Lord, okay, you see this person, and if I'm really liking them, okay, I like them. But you know them better than I do. If they are not for me, if they're gonna mean me bad, move them out of my life and take
Yeah.
them away because I may not have the capacity because me naturally tend to hold on to the good that I see,
Yeah.
and give the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt. So,
True.
Lord, if they're not for me, I need you to move them before feelings get too involved. So I'm not holding on and I'm not being loyal and committed to something that is not meant
For
for
me.
me.
That's
And
right.
I have had God move some people out of my life that I'm like, I thought they were the one and they weren't. God ended up moving them out. And I was okay with that. Hurt on one aspect a little, it's thing like, okay. But thank you, Jesus, that I didn't go down this road.
Yeah.
God blocked some things
Yeah.
again, and then it's funny because one particular person I remember was calling himself wooing me, and I kind of was liking him. And I prayed this prayer and it went another direction. He ended up getting with someone else. And then I saw what he took her through. I'm just like, Lord, thank you for blocking that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So
He
God will do
knows it afar off, man. And shout out to you,
it.
Patricia, for getting out. I saw what she said. She's a survivor of domestic violence. So shout out to you for
Yes,
surviving and
for
coming out better.
surviving. Right quickly, guys, again, you see the QR code. We're
Yes.
asking for donations for Safe Haven Transitional, which is a transitional home for abused or battered women and children who need a place to stay till they get on their feet. So it provides housing, counseling, some educational resources. They do a whole lot of different things. You can visit the website safehaventransitional.org for more information. But to donate, you can scan this QR code. It goes directly to their account. It does not come to me. I want to provide some resources right quickly because if you're listening or you know someone in a domestic violence situation, please don't be quiet about it. Help them get out. So if they're needing like emergency shelter, the Georgia Crisis Line is 1-800-33-HAVEN or 1-800-224-2836. I repeat that again. So Georgia Crisis Line is 1-800-224-2836. For domestic violence transitional housing, which is for Safe Haven, that number is 404-241-8740. And of course, you can always call United Way 211. Will also provide you with some resources. So, Samantha, it's been great speaking with you. Tell me what you have going on before we close out. What do you
Absolutely.
reach you if they want to follow you, or what events or anything that you have going on? Share that
For
with us.
sure. I am Samantha Danielle Sam Says on Facebook. I'm Samantha Danielle underscore Sam Says on Instagram, and Samantha Danielle underscore Sam Says on TikTok. Those are my three platforms. I'm on Threads, but I don't even know how to work that. So there's that. But I'm also in the process of writing a book. So if you follow me, you will
Awesome.
that book is getting ready to I'll be taking pre-orders within the next 30 days. Oh, thank you so
Awesome.
much,
Awesome.
Cynthia. Thank you for
Awesome. Awesome.
watching. And I have to share before y'all log off tomorrow I will be hosting
Yes.
a survivors soiree, y'all. This event, and I'm gonna tell you, Angela, you getting the scoop. How it even came about. My friend, I lost a friend earlier this year
Um,
to cancer, and she came to me in a dream,
mm,
and as clear as day, she told me to host of the event for cancer.
wow.
In the
Okay.
dream, it was so clear, and I remember I woke up and I told somebody very dear to me, and they were like,
Hmm.
"So I guess you're doing an event?" And I said, "Well."
Yes.
I said what I didn't even say yes at that time. I said I'm gonna do the legwork to do the event, and if it falls into place, but I ain't gonna fight for it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yes.
gosh darn if it didn't fall into place. I mean, the tickets are doing great. I just left the venue from decorating, and it's tomorrow's a Survivor Soiree at 7:30,
I'm so
2778
upset I'm
Broad
not going to
Street.
be able to make
I know, but
it.
if you follow, if anybody's watching wants to attend, there's a few tickets left. You can go on
Yes.
my
Tell me how to
page.
get tickets.
Tickets are only $30 and they're 15 for kids. I really want children there. I want children there. Children
Okay.
need to hear this
Okay.
for the but so $30 tickets. Our vendor slots are full. That sounds so good to say. The
It
vendor slots
does.
are full.
That's
But
great.
yeah, it's gonna be a time we're gonna celebrate survivors of both domestic violence as well as breast cancer. And we're gonna bring
Okay. Yes. Because
awareness
it is
to
Breast Cancer
both.
Awareness Month
That's
as
right.
well. Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So, how
Thank
did
you,
you tell them how to
Shanice.
get tickets?
Oh yes, the link is through Eventbrite, or you go to Eventbrite and type in a survivors soiree. If not, you can go on my Facebook page, Samantha Danielle underscore Sam Says, and click the link. It's posted. If you go not even far down my timeline, you'll see the link. Go on there, grab your ticket, come out. The ticket covers your food. There's going to be the vendors there, and there's going to be live entertainment. We're going to have an amazing time. And when I tell you, I just have phenomenal people in my life, and I want others to be able to network with them.
Yes.
We are made for community.
Awesome. That is awesome. I definitely would probably buy a ticket for someone or just support that event. Even though
Yay!
I'm not going to be able to attend, but I like
I
that.
appreciate you so
We'll
much.
have to do something together one day
I would
or
love that. Listen,
plan
there's still days
something.
left in October. I
Yes.
mean, just saying.
We'll plan
Just
something.
saying.
Thank you so much, Samantha. I have
Thank you.
enjoyed this conversation, and I know some of the guests have. Of course, we'll be sharing this. It's live on YouTube, so we'll be sharing it again for others to see. But thank you so much. We'll have to bring you back because there's so
Yay!
much more to talk about.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And we only scratched the surface. So y'all gonna have to get the book to know the rest of the tea. But I
Yes, I
tell you, it
can't
get
wait. I
good.
can't wait to get the book. I have a book too, is Misery, Mess, and Miracles. It talks about my story a lot in there
Oh
too.
wow.
But I can't wait to hear your story, to read it. So I definitely hearing it and stuff. So thank you guys for joining in. Again, continue to share this link to your friends and your network. Scan the QR code. Donate if you possibly can. And we'll see you next Thursday, same time at 8 o'clock for the pop-up podcast. Beyond the Bruises. We're talking about survival stories. Have an awesome night, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Let me end the stream.